Next question,
Yes, good question for David. David, you were in the massacre in the 60s. I
Mhm.
wondered if, what your memories were of that, and also how that contrasted with coming back to Doctor Who.
Well, you see, when it first started in the 60s, everybody looked down on it a bit. You know, it's like doing a kids thing. And I wasn't very excited when because I'd worked with Paddy Russell before. I'd done a lead in a Sunday afternoon series, and I don't think I'd ever seen it before I did it, but it was great fun to do. And I said William Hartnell was a very, very sort of forbidding character. I've told some of you this story, and it was I think it was the football results or the cricket results I wanted to read one morning. He always had his Times or his Telegraph, and I picked up his newspaper and I read the results and I put it back. Who's touched my paper? Furious, but I didn't actually have any scenes with him in the story. I was always with Peter Purvis. And the interesting thing is that there was a little girl called Annette Robertson, who was John Thor's first wife. And there was a lovely actor called Barry Justice, and he was the nephew of James Robertson Justice. And you see, acting can be a terribly cruel profession. It's a wonderful profession, but it can be a terribly cruel profession. And he committed suicide, Barry. That sad thought. And of course we had Eric Thompson, Emma Thompson's father, Magic Roundabout. Before he was in it as well. It was
how did the 80s production?
It was much more. Well, it was much more. By the time we did 80s, I mean, Tom had made it. I mean, and the other doctors had made it. It was a very big, prestigious thing to do. Oh no! Nowadays, I mean, every actor in London don't they want to be a Doctor Who? Now it's ever so huge. Yeah. It was much more. Though I couldn't understand that story at all. I still don't understand.
Yes.
Question for Kenneth. We were talking in the autograph queue about obviously you were in Coronation Street
Yeah.
right at the beginning, and worked with some TV legends really. What are your memories of working with the likes of Doris Speed and Violet Carson or Margaret Bryant?
Vi Carson was wonderful. She was, because I did a play with her before. She played my mother. I was playing a boxer called The Laugh at Lad before I did that, and she was the reason I got a long run in the street. Because I was playing a lot of killers, a lot of villains, and I went in to beat up Dennis Tanner, and he deserves it, believe me. I was just to knock him about and sort him out, and she heard about it, and she gets me under the viaduct, and she comes up, she's coming closer. She said, go away from the Coronation Street, never come back, you'll leave us alone, and leave him alone, you're evil, you're nasty, you're rotten, you're rotten, you're rotten. And she was coming closer and closer and closer like that, and the big close-up, and the very end on rehearsal, I said, give us a kiss. And we got a laugh, and they had a funny character, and he let me develop the funny character after that, rather than the villain, you know. So that was, and Doris Speed was lovely. She was an old pro, she's a fantastic person. The Rovers had these uprights going up, the Newell posts or whatever they're called, and she used to write her bloody words on it, on the inside, and you could see her coming from the back, and as she'd walk towards it, and I was a villain, because there was live telly and stuff, and I used to lean forward and put my shoulder against the thing so she couldn't see the words. And then just as she got there, I'd move away and she'd read, "Hello, Jed." So she was very, very sweet. She was very, very fond of me. And I loved her to death, you know. And Arthur Leslie played her husband. He's a good old actor, a really nice man. He's an old rep actor. And the good acting from those people was something that made it work, you know.
I was watching, there's a box set of 60s episodes, so I was watching some of those recently, and Jack Walker, he's brilliant.
He's lovely,
just
yeah.
Perfect. You can imagine working.
He was the long-suffering husband long before anybody else did it.
Yeah.
And he was a lovely old soul. Albert Taplock was a waste of time, really. He's playing the grandfather because just before he went on a live television recording or whatever, and it's going out, he would start telling you a joke in the wings. It's a way it relieved his bloody nerves or whatever, but I wish he would stop it, you know, because it was just hopeless, because there's two old men coming in, you're trying to remember your dialogue, you know. I used to pretend my leg had gone before, because the floor man's got his hand up, and he's going to say, 3 seconds, good luck everybody, and I used to leave my sentence till my leg's gone. And he never got a laugh then, didn't get a laugh now.
It must have been very strange to go back into it and still have
it was murder.
It was murder,
yeah. It was a bit odd. They wouldn't let any freedom. The writers are all right, yeah. But there are moments when you do the show, there's something happens that you can put in which will make the scene really sing and work. And they wouldn't allow any, they wanted the full stop scene and the commas and everything else. And so it was unbearable for me. I hated it, you know. So I got out of it.
As we're on the subject of soaps, you also appeared in another soap, Brookside.
Yeah, it was rubbish as well. Yeah. No, I did that for fun. It was okay. No, I shouldn't tell you this, but the National Health people told me I was dying of cancer, and they got it wrong. So I went into Brookside to get some money for the kids before I kicked the bucket. They were so wrong. I'm still here. It was 10 years ago, you know. So I feel a bit funny now. And that's why I went into Brookie. It was okay. It was hard work. And they were nice people. And it is, you know, doing stuff in front of these chaps will tell you, it's not an easy job appearing in front of a camera when everybody's watching stuff, you know. But you do the best you can, and you don't tread on other people's lines, you don't tread on their laughs, you've got some discipline, which is gone now, it's gone completely, all that. You know. Stop me talking, I'm talking rubbish.
I think, do you have a question? Yeah.
Yes, really for everybody. Do you ever look at your old stuff and think, what the hell is going on here?
What? The whole thing?
Yeah, just your old TV shows that you've watched, and you just think, what am I doing? What's going on?
Yeah. It's funny actually, because one thing I'd like to say is we're redundant as soon as we finish a job. We are totally redundant. And it's always been amusing when people who are 9 to 5s and they're suddenly made redundant, the whole world stops for them. I've worked in hospitals, I've been on the game, I've slept with men for money. But we do other jobs and we just get on with it because we know it's a very, very uncertain, as David was saying, it's a very, very cruel, it's a very, you know, uncertain profession. We do our best, you know, we really do.
Survivors.
Yes, yeah. I've sold typewriters as well. Does anybody want an Olivetti?
Yeah, we were saying.
Yeah, looking at one's old programmes, I know quite a few actors who don't watch themselves on television at all. Not even when it first goes out, let alone, you know, years later. They just make a thing, they don't like to see themselves on the screen for whatever reason. I always make a point of watching what I've done because I find it actually helpful, even though you hate it, which sometimes you do. You think, what on earth was I doing there? I mentioned the Doctor Who when I thought I was overacting like mad. Yeah. I can hardly bear to watch it, I think it's awful. But I think you learn something from watching, and so I tend to do that. But I have to say, though, I think that the old television, we're talking about the early days of the BBC, particularly, particularly the BBC, some of their drama output, series and plays, were absolutely wonderful and still hold up tremendously well. And compared with a lot of stuff which goes out now, I think they're quite wonderful. But there is good stuff now, as Ken was saying, about the killing. But I mean, there's an awful lot of awful stuff as well. And I think the standard generally, you know, sort of 30, 40 years ago, was really very, very high across the board. You very rarely saw a dud programme. So my answer really is yes. I don't wince on the whole. I see something I've done a long time ago.
So excuse me 1 second, but you're right, I agree with you 100% saying that there's some of the older stuff is completely different and just a different quality. I mean, I remember watching a BBC One televisual play, Wife Begins at 40. I mean, I couldn't have been more than 17 or something at the time. But just comparing that to stuff that's on TV now, it's just, you can't compare the two things.
You remember in the old days, there's 2, 3 programmes, there was always something to watch. Now, some nights, you know, with Skybox, there's 100 programmes, nothing you want to see. Right. But there was always something in the old days.
I get a lot of pleasure watching black and white movies in the afternoon because I'm not working. You know, and we see these old English films and see English actors and people I've worked with, which is a bit sobering. But it's so nice to see the way they're good at it. You know, they really are bloody brilliant. You know.
There's a wonderful old film called I Know Where I'm Going, which has been on quite a lot recently, with Roger Lives in Wendy Hiller.
God, he's a great
really marvellous film, wonderful, black and white, very old film, wonderful.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question? Gentleman just at the back.
A question for Clifford. What are your memories of the untransmitted episode of Secret Army?
Oh, this is a difficult one. This is a difficult one. We actually were asked to do a programme on BBC Radio about this. They did a programme called Shelved, and they investigated 3 programmes, which 3 episodes of various things. I think one was the Sweeney, I think one actually was a Doctor Who, and one of Secret Army, the last episode, supposed last episode of Secret Army. And Nobody could find out really why it was not shown, apart from the fact, because it never was shown, so most people had never seen it. Those of us who were in it were sent, DVDs of it, so we were able to see it and see what it was like. The main reason we think is because it was completely out of keeping with the rest of the series. It was very, very down. Well, it was set 25 years later for a start, so everybody was much older, and it was very, very downbeat. And one got the impression that the people who'd helped in the resistance in Brussels during the war were kind of questioning whether they'd done the right thing. Was it really, did we really do any good? Was a sort of attitude, which was an awful sort of thing at the end of something which had been very kind of upbeat, really. And so I think, and it was also cast in the form of a documentary. It wasn't at all dramatic. It had lots of things wrong with it. So I think, ultimately that's what we said, and other people connected with it seem to think. That's what I feel.
Did you know you wouldn't get Kastner then? Or was that
No, that came slightly later. It had been mooted, but that came slightly later because I did another series in between of something else. An ill-fated thing called Buccaneer with Brian Marshall, which didn't go to another series. So there was a gap. But then Kessler was mooted and we did it about a year and a half later, yes.
Kevin, you had a question.
Yeah, for Kenneth.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hello, darling.
I'm not sure if many people here know the connection, but your daughter appeared in Doctor Who in the recent series.
Martha, yes, she did, yeah.
Did she tell you anything about working on that?
We had a lot, we're always talking about acting and stuff. I'm very impressed with her, not like a dad, like an actor. She's good. And her comedy timing is absolutely, totally brilliant. She played the controller, she was suspended above it all. And she enjoyed it. She was at the last signing we did, and I'm wondering why she wasn't here on this one.
Somebody get Dexter?
But she was, yes, she did enjoy it. She's bloody good, actually. And I hope she does well. And her own daughter's even better. She's only 11, but if you're in our business, you can see talent, can't you? You can see it.
Yes.
And I'm not boasting, I'm not doing that at all. But there is talent there. You said
the start of a dynasty then?
Possibly, yeah. You talking about food again? Well, I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. Sort of in the
well, my two boys are musicians. They've got a band called the Candy Skins, and they're doing okay, So we fathered a whole load of people who are out of work quite a bit,
Does anybody else have a question? Yes.
Well, ask Clifford something. I'm fed up talking.
Since Donald Hopkirk only appeared for one series and like Pat died.
Yes.
And how would you even think you would? Suppose if you were Jeff Randall and Mike Pratt would have been Marty Hopkirk, then you would have had how would you imagine if you wrote an official alternative biography, how to cope with death? If you'll pardon the pun.
I don't really know. Michael was a wonderful, wonderful guy, and he did write one of the scripts, which is one of the funniest. Which is where he gets hypnotised, and I have to tell him to pretend to be the hypnotist and copy the hypnotist's voice, which we didn't do. We did the actor, and he makes him do a fight sequence, So I don't know. I think he was all right. I think, and if we are going to meet up there, we'll do a series together. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He's all right. Let him speak. He's okay. I promise you, he's okay.
And as we've just got to almost finish.
Why have you almost finished? I thought it was going well.
Yeah. It's gone so well. That's why you've all had illustrious careers. You've done many, many things, and Doctor Who is just a minute portion of each of your careers. Where does Doctor Who stand in your career?
In mine?
Yes.
It's there because people remember it. I keep letters all the time asking for the money back and stuff. No, it's obviously it registers here with you people, and we see you on these signings. The other chaps will say this is where you come up, and they had the England football team once at a signing I was in a long time ago, and the biggest queue was Doctor Who, And it's never failed. It's never stopped. Never, never, ever stopped being popular, and a lot of people interested in it. And it's obviously it affects me. I was only in one of them, Warriors Gate and stuff, but it was very, very good. I liked it. It's okay, and I think it's part of my. I mean, I think it comes after TW3, which I did in the 60s, which is a live BBC television show where we did satire and stuff. And I didn't understand what we were doing, but it was was long before Monty Python and all the rest of the rubbish. But it was that's number one, and then Doctor Who would come like three or four along. You stop coughing. I'm trying to speak here. It came 3 or 4 down the line. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Does it?
I'd say whenever you're on a tour in a play, and you put in a theatre play, and you put your bio in the programme. By the first performance, if you've got Doctor Who, there's somebody at the stage door with the pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures you've never seen of yourself. I don't know where they get them from, but every night there's always somebody.
Yes, absolutely true. Yes.
Forget Richard Burton and all that.
I mean, I agree with Ken. It's right up there. It really
Yes,
is
it
to
is,
me. It's interesting because when one made it, one perhaps didn't realise quite how it was going to take off in the way it subsequently did, and so one perhaps wasn't quite prepared for it. But as the years have gone on, as Ken says, you know, the sort of the spin-off from it is fantastic. I get more letters probably about that than almost anything I've done, and I rate that really very highly. Certainly among the top 2 or 3 things I've done for television, I rate it very highly indeed.
Yeah, it's one little story. When I was in Melbourne with Sylvester, we went to one of these signings, and this blind boy came up with an audio book of Doctor Who, and he said, "Thank you for helping my childhood." I thought that was very touched.
And on that note, we'll finish there. Thank you very much. Thank you.